Welcome to Barbecue Catering Smarts, the go-to podcast for barbecue operators looking to grow and streamline their catering operations. Every episode, we're serving up expert advice, proven systems, and flavorful strategies straight from top leaders in the barbecue and catering world. So fire up the pit. It's time for another sizzling episode.
Hello again, I'm Michael Attias, your host of Barbecue Catering Smarts, and today's guest is Dan Bosworth, owner and pitmaster of Big Dan's Barbecue. Dan turned a backyard passion into a beloved barbecue destination, and he truly thrives on the challenges of feeding large groups with consistency and care. With a background in manufacturing, Dan brings a planning and logistics mindset to every cook, using operational discipline to help the business grow year after year without losing the personal touch and quality that made it special in the first place. A longtime member of the National Barbecue and Grilling Association, Dan offers a grounded operator's perspective on what it takes to deliver great barbecue at scale, especially when catering is on the line, and we're excited to have him on the show today. Before we get started, let's take a minute to recognize our sponsor, Caters Catering Software. They help barbecue restaurants turn their catering chaos into calm. Discover why barbecue restaurants trust Caters to save them time and increase catering sales. Go to catersn.com and sign up for a walkthrough of the software. Now let's dive into this episode of Barbecue Catering Smarts. Welcome, Dan. How are you doing today?
Good, Michael. How are you? Thanks for having me here.
Great. Thanks for being here. I like to get everyone started off with an icebreaker question. Give me a number between 1 and 300.
175.
175. What's one thing you'd like to learn more about?
Good question. As far as in the cooking world or just anything in general?
Anything in general.
Oh, all right. I think it would be great to learn more about how this AI thing works. There's a lot of that stuff out there, and it's infiltrating businesses everywhere, and I think it's going to be the future, and I want to learn a little bit more about how to make it work, not just for the business, but personally as well.
It's absolutely crazy where AI has come and how I use AI. Like I don't even use Google anymore. I do all my stuff in ChatGPT, and whether it's a health issue or something, our dog was having some stomach issues, and literally ChatGPT was like a veterinarian, told us exactly where the problem came from, what we need to do, how to rectify it. It's spot on.
Well,
it's unbelievable.
I have heard a little bit about how it kind of takes your brain down a little bit. You don't have the creativity, and so it's kind of a two-edged sword. You can do a lot of things with it, but if you're doing too much, then you're not building that creativity on your own and working your brain out. So I think it's a good tool to use, but I wouldn't rely on it too much.
I think the way I use it is a lot of it is how you design the prompts, like how you talk to it.
Right.
And so for me, it takes a lot of brain power to set up the problem, right? Like, it's I don't just say, give me a marketing plan for a barbecue restaurant. I would go into a lot of detail about as much facts as possible. And so just by that very nature, I feel like I'm not being dumbed down. I'm I'm talking to it with a lot of forethought, not just.
Yeah, I think that's important, is using it like that. Instead of just saying, create this for me, is giving it those prompts and helping it refine what you're looking for.
Yeah, we're looking at bringing AI more into the forefront towards the end of the year. I think there's a lot of opportunities to make barbecue restaurants more effective. And that could be something as simple as just analyzing your sales volume, looking at the trajectory of a customer. Like traditionally, we've said, okay, if somebody hasn't ordered in 45 days, we need to reach out to them. Well, one is, does everybody need to be called in 45 days? If somebody books a big event with you once a year, they probably don't need to be called every 45 days. If somebody orders from you weekly, they probably need to be called in 15 days.
Sure.
And then looking at people's trajectory, are they ordering less? Why are they ordering less? Is it fewer people? Are they cutting back on the budget so they're buying a less expensive package? So getting some insights on trends, and I think AI is good for that, and I think it's also good. We've got on the drawing board like an AI text message upsell tool, so you confirm the orders the day before, and anybody that doesn't have drinks or desserts, you suggest them.
Yeah.
And listening to phone calls, success leaves clues.
Hmm.
So who's really selling the most? Why are they selling the most? And is there something you can learn from how they sell versus how someone else sells?
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, I came from a manufacturing background. And so this data analysis and crunching numbers and spreadsheets is very familiar. And so that's my default, is to go to those things. So if
Yeah,
I can figure out a way to use AI to help shortcut that whole process, then that would make me a little more effective and efficient.
there's some of our clients that are taking Caters End reports and they're putting them in AI to analyze things.
Oh, wow.
So if you reach out to Jill, our COO,
Okay.
she can tell you uh, the prompts to use and what other people are doing. So to at
Okay.
least give you a
Great.
good starting point. So tell
Yeah.
me, you got started off in manufacturing. What was and sorry, I don't know if you hear a dog whining, but my
That's all right.
fiance went to yoga, and the dog has separation anxiety, I guess, if we're both not here. Spoiled dog. Um, what type of manufacturing work did you get into, and what's your background in manufacturing?
Well, I went to school for production operations management and graduated and took a job at a company in Philadelphia that remanufactured car parts. So you would take your power steering pump back to Napa.
Yeah.
They would send it back to us. We'd strip it down and do all that. So,
So what specifically did you do in like what was your area of expertise?
so I ran the steering division when I was there, and so operations management, oversight, labor allocation, efficiency, costs, order fill, all that stuff.
So you come, I'm gonna sort of surmise you came to the barbecue world from a business background as opposed to a culinary.
Yes,
So probably a lot of discipline, a lot of systems, a lot of
very
spreadsheets, a
much
lot
so.
of forms.
Yeah.
So how'd you get in the barbecue world? Where did it all
Well,
start?
sure. The company I worked for started looking at moving some products down to Mexico to save labor. We're a very labor intensive business. And so from probably the late 2000s, they started that process. And 2010, 2011, the plant that I was in started moving. And so I got out of the manufacturing side, jumped over into the supply chain logistics side of the business, made a few trips down to Mexico to help get the thing set up. Anyway, 2012, end of that, I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready to be done with this and move on to something else. I pursued some different options. None of those worked out. And so in 2013, I reached out to a guy I knew who had a barbecue business. And I said, hey, I just want to get in the business. I was a backyard guy. I cooked for everybody. We have stuff at our house all the time. And so I reached out to him and said, I wanted to get in the business. And he said, well, I'm selling my trailer. He had this big mobile kitchen type trailer. And so I said, yeah, let's do it. So I told my wife, I said, let's buy this trailer. I reached out to her parents who own a farm up in central Pennsylvania, which is where we are now. And I said, hey, can we set this trailer up on your parking lot in the summer and just see how it goes? So we did that, kind of grew. We got into a big fair here locally and in the fall. And we said, all right, I guess this is what we're going to do. So we enrolled our kids in school and moved up here. It's about 2.5 hours from where we were, and just kind of started the business. The interesting thing around here, the term barbecue has been applied to what most of the world calls sloppy Joe.
Oh, really?
Uh,
Because some
yeah,
people think barbecue's hamburgers and hot dogs. You
yep,
definitely have different.
yeah. The term is very broad, but when I first married into the family, my mother-in-law said something about making barbecue, and I was like, "Oh, this is great. We're going to have brisket or ribs or whatever." And she pulls out sloppy Joe, and so that's where I learned this is what barbecue is. So opening a barbecue business in this area, we had some surprise customers that didn't expect pulled pork or brisket or ribs. They were looking for sloppy joes. But so that was we had to train our customers a little bit on what we were doing. But that was 2013. We grew the business in 14, 15, 16. We continued to grow. 2018, we started realizing that we needed to expand a little bit and looked at some additions, looked at additional property, whatever. And in the place we are now, it was an old barn, 100 and
So
some year old huge
you're
facility.
when did you transition off your in-laws' property?
We actually bought that property.
Okay,
Yep. So it was a farm market, working orchards, apples, peaches, cherries, strawberries. And so they retired in 2015. My wife and I took over the farm. And so now we operate the farm and the barbecue restaurant.
so you're not a glutton for punishment.
No, no, that's why we're seasonal. We open middle of April and we close the end of December. Um, and we need a few months break to plus there's not a lot going on around here. We're pretty rurally located and in the summertime there's a big amusement park, summer and fall. There's a big amusement park down the road that draws a lot of people. So we get a lot of that tourism coming to the area. But January, February, March, things around here are pretty slow. So we take a break, do projects that we need to do, travel a little bit, and get back into it in the spring.
Nice. It's nice to have a little bit of break.
It is.
I'm sure you're fixing things around the farm and there's always things to be
Oh yeah.
done, but it's probably nice. And do your kids work in the business with you?
They have. My oldest is graduating college this year. He's getting married in
Congrats.
June, and he's going to
Wow.
be working in the finance world. So my daughter's going to be she's a sophomore in college right now, and my youngest is 14, so he does work in the business. But the older two have worked for me while they were in high school and here during college. So
Very nice.
yeah,
So, what percentage of your business would you say is catering? When I say catering, it could be anything from a full service event to, aluminum pans. People just
sure.
want some food dropped off or picked up for a backyard.
It's growing every year. I think we were probably 40% of the business this year was catering. We've
Wow.
been up a little bit every year, so yeah, it's a big part of the business.
Are there big employers in the area, or what's your niche? I've dealt with a lot of barbecue guys, the guys in bigger cities, obviously it's it's blue ocean, right? There's a million people you can knock on
Yeah.
doors in a smaller community. So what are your niches that you focus on?
Uh, Anybody that wants barbecue around here. We have a lot of small graduation parties, family reunions, things like that that we do. That's kind of every week we'll have a few of those
Right.
just coming in. We do a fair amount of weddings in the area. There's a lot of barn venues around here that the barbecue cuisine goes really well with that format.
But
So we carry a lot of
you
weddings.
don't have a wedding venue?
We don't personally, no, we go to other places.
Is that so you can get more business funneled to you from those people and they don't consider you a competitor? Or, I mean, is that by
Well, no, most of these are don't have their own in-house catering, their own in-house kitchens. They're just a venue, just a building. So people come in, rent the facility, and then they'll recommend caterers to them. And so we have good relationships with a lot of them, and so they will recommend us, and generally most people take it.
do you pay them a referral fee or is it more
Nope,
nice?
nope, just good relationships with them. We've been working with them for a while, and I think for them, most of these places are, small businesses. They don't want the headaches of having to deal with all of the food stuff. So if they're happy to refer to somebody else, and they'll have a list. They'll have 5 or 6 people that they refer. If you want barbecue, go with these guys. If you want, Italian, go with these people or
Right.
whatever. But if anybody wants barbecue, generally they're referring them to us. So there's other places around, but we get a lot of those referrals. And then
So
we also have quite a few big businesses around warehouses, facilities, things like that. And we've actually done quite a few multiple shift caterings where we'll do a larger group for lunch, a medium sized group for dinner, and then like a small drop off group at like third shift, midnight, or something like that. So,
yeah, we used to do a lot of that we would drive up to 2 hours for a big group
Yeah.
because it was worth it. And, the same thing, the graveyard shift, you'd have 20 people and you sort of take it on the chin, but you pick up 1,000 people, you're happy to
Yeah.
not be profitable at 3 a.m.
And we've had a lot of companies that have reached out to us for that reason. They say most people don't want to take care of our third shift people. And we said, we'll do it. And like you said, you're losing a little bit on that, a little bit of sleep, probably breaking even on everything else, but you're making it on the lunch and dinner shift. So
Yeah, you more than make up. What's the biggest event you've ever done?
one time, like a one single shift, I think it's about 5 or 600, 550, something like that. That was a group from a local hospital here, like an IT group that we did. There's a local business that's closer to 850,
Yep.
but that was split out over multiple shifts in a couple days, so it wasn't near as much at one time.
Yeah, that's pretty good size for coming from a small town.
Yeah,
Now, do you proactively go after business or do you just wait for the phone to ring?
both. Well, yeah, we a lot of our stuff just comes from referrals. People they had it at a wedding or a graduation party or at their business or something, and so then they end up coming in, and then we give them a catering menu, and they next event they have, um, they'll use us. But over the past couple of years, we've done something we call an executive sampling. So we'll go reach out to a local business and say, "Hey, get 10 or 12 of your decision makers together. We'll bring lunch for you guys on us, and we'll leave them information about catering, what we can do." And typically that has yielded pretty good results. Maybe not immediately, but they'll come back in 6 months or 9 months and go, "Hey, we have this big company-wide thing. Let's reach out to these guys because their stuff was really good." So,
Yeah, a lot of these bigger companies, and I'm sure for manufacturing, we would do a lot of safety luncheons. That was a
yeah.
big thing for us, and picnics and holiday parties. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity out there. Are you the, I guess, chief revenue officer, the guy that goes out there and the face in the public?
Well, we had a catering manager, up and he left, taking a different job at the end of this year, but over the past few years, he was the one who was kinda out. He had a sales background, and so he was very comfortable with doing that. And so, moving forward until we replace him, it'll be me out doing that stuff, but
Did you notice a big bump in sales bringing him on?
well, he came on right as we opened the restaurant. So we switched from that roadside trailer to a restaurant in 2021,
Okay.
and so he came on right as that happened. So there was a natural increase in sales just from being open more and being inside and not being weather dependent. But he also definitely did push our catering business quite a bit.
Do y'all do a lot of drop-off catering?
A lot, yeah.
Is that mostly a weekend thing, a weekday thing?
Um, Probably split pretty evenly. We have a lot of local businesses that maybe they're doing a safety luncheon for 20 or 30 people that they don't want a departmental lunch, that they don't want to do a full service catering. So we'll just drop off food for them.
Nice.
And then on weekends, it might be a graduation party or a baby shower or something that we'll drop food off. We have a lot of pickups too. People just want to come by and pick up 4 or 5 trays of food, and that works out great too.
Yeah, absolutely. So coming from manufacturing and getting in a whole nother industry, so to speak, what were like if you were going to advise anybody else? Because I think everybody has a dream of opening a restaurant. A lot of people want to open up a barbecue restaurant. I've got a big green egg in the backyard, and I'm really good, and I feed my friends and family.
Yep,
But, there's a difference between being a hobbyist and being a professional, and
for
it's a
sure.
business, right? What are 2 or 3 big takeaways if you were gonna, mentor or advise somebody today to think about or, things that, you get your butt handed to you on a platter and like, "Man, I wish somebody had taught me that."
I think for me, simplicity is a key. I have a lot of people who were, friends of mine or people I know who go, I made these ribs at my house and I mean, yours are good, but mine are better. And I go, okay, cook 40 of them. Well, I can't do that. okay, you know, or I did this whole process to my pork butt. I soaked it and I marinated it and I injected it and then I babied it through the whole process. Yeah, do that with 50 or 60 pork butts. I can't do that. So keeping it simple, um, simple rubs, simple process, it makes it scalable and it makes it consistent. And it makes it to where I can hand over that to somebody in the kitchen and they can handle that. Um, we make our own sauces in house.
All right.
And so we've got it all scaled out to the recipes by the gram. And I can give that. And it's all based on a whole, whatever, jar of mayonnaise or jar of
Right.
mustard or a bag of ketchup. And then it scales from there. And so anybody can make barbecue sauce. It's consistent and it doesn't require, some special touch from the master to make sure that it's right. So I'm big on simplicity so I can scale it and keep it consistent. And then also, um, part of the reason we're seasonal is our location, but also, we work a lot during the season. And if I did it 7 days a week, year round, I wouldn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I'd get burned out. So allowing yourself to have a little bit of a break, whether it's seasonal or whether it's, during the week, not being open 7 days or whatever, give yourself a little bit of time off. And even the days that we're closed, I'm here. I'm doing orders, I'm receiving product, I'm prepping stuff, I'm doing bookkeeping, whatever. So it's having a little bit of that time to take a mental break from business. It's not always in the physical toll, it's just the mental, to constantly thinking, oh, I've got 6 catering pickups on Saturday, and we've got a services on Saturday, and I have stuff on Friday, and trying to think through all that and planning it. And I'm prepping today to cook it tomorrow and serving it the next day, whatever. There's a lot of mental gymnastics that happen. So taking a mental break is also important
Yeah,
for that as well.
that's a good point. You definitely have to make time to enjoy the journey as you're going.
Yeah.
A life's too short. You see too many people. They say, "Oh, when I get to this age and I retire, we're going to start enjoying life," and then they're dead 2 years later.
Yeah.
You know, take a little bit of time every week to enjoy something. Find something you enjoy because you get burnt out and you look back and it's like, where'd the time go?
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, I want to dovetail on two things. Go back to two things you said. The first thing is about I was sort of chuckling when you said, "Oh, great! Can you make 50 ribs? Can you do 50 butts?"
Yeah.
Um, the guy who started Corky's was a mentor of mine, and I had a Corky's out of college for 14 years. And he used to said, "Anybody can make good barbecue, but can you make good barbecue for 500 people?"
Exactly.
And that's a very good point. The other thing you talk about systems, and I'm sure that ties back into your manufacturing, background.
Yeah.
Is the way your brain thinks. Have you ever read Michael Gerber, The E-Myth?
No. Let me write that down.
Um, I read it years and years and years ago, and basically he says whether you want to be a McDonald's and have 10,000 units, or you just want a hair salon with 1 unit, treat your business like it's a franchise. Systematize everything, have checklists, and have it
Yeah.
almost idiot proof, right? And so I
Yeah.
remember back when I opened my restaurant, we didn't have this at our, the franchisors. I made checklists of this is opening checklist, this is a closing
Mhm.
checklist. We have a system to keep up with food costing every day. We would take all our PLUs out of the register, and I created a spreadsheet that says, okay, based on a slab of rib, should have used a slab of rib. A regular order dinner, a half a slab of rib, barbecue sandwich, 4 ounces. And I had it all figured out. And then we would count all the commodities every day and say, okay, how did we do compared to perfection?
Yeah.
So all those things really, really make a difference. Um,
Oh, and tie back into the earlier discussion about AI is being able to use that to make those decisions quicker is going to be huge. Because
yeah,
I tried last off season. I kind of built this whole spreadsheet with my recipes and food costs. I had it tied in, had lookups from so I could just update this spreadsheet with my prices
yeah,
and it would filter into the whole thing. And I I didn't use it that much during the season because it's cumbersome, and I'm not a tech guy, I'm not a computer science guy, so if I could find a way to make that simpler, then it's gonna be a tool that I use rather than something I spend a lot of time on and refer back to it a couple times a year.
Yeah. Um, can you get your PLU count out of your point of sale system?
Yeah, we use Square,
Okay.
so I
So
can export whatever we have.
so I would probably start with that and load it in ChatGPT and say, "Hey, you're one of the top." You need to tell it what it is, so it's in that mindset. So you're one of the
Okay.
top food costs specialists for barbecue restaurants and caterers, and I'm giving you a spreadsheet of all the items we sell. Feel free to ask me any questions, and I need you to help me create a food costing program based around this because I'm going to upload my PLUs daily or weekly, or I'd probably do it weekly. We did a daily to count the meats, and then weekly we did a food costing. But however you want to do it, and then
Yeah,
have it work backwards, because you should be able to take all your PLUs and throw it in dump it in a spreadsheet,
sure.
and then it calculates it, and then you update your prices, commodities weekly, and then whatever monthly, your groceries monthly. And you're going to get pretty good, hey, this is our theoretical food cost versus actual.
Yeah,
But
that makes sense. I
daily is important because you want to know if you're being stolen from, if there's waste. And so let's just take something super simple. All you sell is slabs of ribs, right? One SKU,
Sure.
you open up with 20 slabs of ribs, you cook 40, and the register says 30. Well, you should have 30 in the cooler when you close the doors, right?
Yeah,
And if you don't, where did those ribs go? If it's one or two off, you could say, oh, well, we had a recook. We had, somebody sent them back. They fell on the floor. If it's over, same thing in manufacturing, you have a certain amount of waste or
yeah,
imperfection that's acceptable. Anything after that, starts raising flags, right?
yeah. Yeah, that's true. We when, back in 2020, when 2021, I guess, when prices just started going crazy
Yep.
on food costs, we had just moved from the trailer to the restaurant, and we set our prices, and I was pretty happy with that, and then food costs continue to go up, and I said, "Man, I really don't wanna just increase my prices again." So, I really doubled down on our efficiency, on everything in-house, making sure that we were as efficient and low waste as possible, and we got through that whole season without raising our prices. Our ingredient costs were up, but our overall food costs, cost of goods was down
So
because
what
we were
it,
just more efficient and more effective and tracking things better internally. And so we did that for a couple years, and then finally, I was like, "All right, we're about as efficient as we can get. I'm gonna have to bump some prices here and there." But I personally did not wanna just pass on that price increase to a customer when I knew that I was not being efficient in-house. I didn't feel like that wasn't operating with integrity.
yeah.
I wanted to make sure I was doing the things right in-house before I felt comfortable passing that price increase on.
So what can you share two or three things you did to tighten things up and, reduce waste?
Well, just, portioning things out using a scale. When we were in the trailer, it was kind of almost like that barbecue fest
Yep.
state fair concept where you're just slapping stuff on a bun and sending it out. We didn't have scales, we didn't any of that kinda stuff. So, um, weighing out all of our portions was huge, and it took a little while for our staff to go, "Oh, that's what a 6-ounce sandwich looks like? Yeah, you were making 8-ounce sandwiches." Or some people were only making 4 ounces, so trying
Right.
to which is from a culinary standpoint, that's 101, but from a business standpoint and coming from, this trailer into a restaurant, we had to straighten those things up. I'd mentioned about our, recipes with all of the weights. We make coleslaw, and it was cabbage, a couple big scoops of mayonnaise, some glugs of vinegar,
Yeah.
mix it up. And now it's however many grams of uh, mayonnaise, grams of vinegar, whatever, that we make it in house. Actually, we make an Alabama white sauce, and we use that as the base for our coleslaw. So
Oh,
it's streamlined even more. So rather than it being inconsistent, we said it's a bag of coleslaw and however many ounces of white sauce, coleslaw's done. So anybody can make that. So just systematizing those things in the kitchen, and then also trying to come up with ways to reuse at the end of the day. Um, I've been to a lot of restaurants, barbecue restaurants specifically, where I kind of go, "Hey, this was reheated. It's still good, but I can tell it was something that
yeah.
they reheated." Um, and so if I can if I can tell that it's been reheated, I don't want to serve that to the customers. So we try to streamline it, and then if we know we're not going to use it, we'll pull it early and stick it in the freezer or something like that. Or if it's already been kind of chopped and ready for the table, we have a little bit left, we start to accumulate that and we make chili, or we'll make buffalo chicken dip with our chicken or things like that. We really don't throw away anything. And
So
it
you're
was more,
basically you're using leftover or food that didn't sell, and you're cross utilizing it for other items. So you've got the buffalo chicken
yeah,
dip, you've got the what do
make a brisket chili.
a brisket chili. What else are
Yep.
you? Do you do
Those are,
quesadilla? Do you do things like quesadillas or barbecue
no,
baked
we have
potatoes or?
not yet. We pretty much have well, the other thing that we'll do is we'll put stuff in the freezer in pints, and then because we have a farm market downstairs, we will sell it frozen that way. So people can come in if we're not here on a Monday because we're closed, or a
Right.
Tuesday. They'll come in and go, "Oh, I really want to barbecue." Well, there's some pork, there's some brisket, there's mac and cheese, there's
Oh, that's
beans,
fine. And people are
and all
fine
that
with
stuff.
that if they're taking it home.
Absolutely.
That's
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
Have you done barbecue nachos?
Yeah. Yeah, we do. We have those on our menu all the time.
Yeah, I make those at home. Absolutely
Oh,
love
people
them.
love them.
Yeah.
People love them. Yep.
So let's transition to, growing sales. You talked about knocking on doors and, doing these tastings for companies, and you talked about word of mouth and referrals. Anything else that you've done either to get catering sales or to get people coming back? You doing any type of regular marketing?
Nothing specific. We did renovate our revamp our website last year.
It's a good looking
Hired
website. I went to it before.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
very, very
we
good.
hired a company that does all that stuff, and so they're managing it for us. They're doing all the SEO optimization, etcetera. And I've noticed this year specifically, or this past year, that we had a lot more people came in, and we try to ask everybody, "How did you find us?" Mostly because we have a lot of people from out of town that are coming here for that amusement park or for uh, tourism in the area. And so we always ask, "How'd you find us?" And 99 times out of 100, it's, we were just looking for something to eat. We Googled food near us, and you guys came right up. And so, we've got 700 and some odd reviews. We've got a 4.9 rating, which helps also. And
I
so that pops up pretty highly
I think that
in the local.
people underestimate that. Like when my fiance and I go out to eat and we're someplace we don't know, we're looking at that rating, right?
Absolutely.
800 people can't be wrong. You can't game 400, 800 4.9 star reviews.
Right.
If you got 10 reviews, that's a whole different thing. But, when it has
Yeah.
a lot of
Friends,
reviews and
family, okay, hey, leave me a review, and but the longer it goes, um, we were at a 4.8 for a long time, and I told our staff, I said, "If we can get," I forget what it was, 50, I did a little spreadsheet,
yeah,
I figured it all out. I said, "If we can get," I think it was 50 or 60 or something more 5 stars without a 4 or less, that will bump our average to a 4.9. It was like 4.85.
right, right.
And so we did, and we were asking people, we put little table talkers out and, "Hey, if you liked us, leave us a 5-star. If there was something wrong, come tell us, we'll fix it. And so, we got that. We hit 4.9, and we've just been continuing to grow. And also, I respond to every single one of them, even if it's just a thank you with their name. I want to make sure that people see that, not just the negatives. Sometimes I look at reviews and then I see the people leaving these big negative reviews and then the response. So I respond to everybody and try to, if it's a legitimate thing that we did, we'll fix it. A lot of times it's misunderstanding of something or whatever, but
That's awesome. So what's next? As you look, you know, do you have a what's next? Are you happy with what you've got and you just want to keep it going?
uh, we're we're not operating out of this trailer since 2013, and it has a Southern Pride SPX 700, I think, in it. And then when we opened the restaurant, I bought an Old Hickory ELEDX. So I've got those two, and they're in two different places. One of them's kind of on a porch, and so it's outside. So there's some days when it's beautiful standing out there, and there's some days when it's cold and windy. So we're looking to um, get rid of the trailer and build kind of a smokehouse thing in house that we can um, have it all under one roof, and not this would be connected to the kitchen so that we don't have to take stuff outdoors and be working when it's raining or snowy or whatever, which would be nice. Um, I've been looking at a piece of equipment called the Game Changer. I don't know if you've heard of that before.
No, but it sounds interesting.
It's uh it's a pellet smoker. It's shaped like a warming cabinet or a bakery. You
Yeah,
can roll a
yeah,
bakery rack into.
yeah.
But so it works off of trays, but it's a dehydrator, it's a pellet smoker, it's a cooker, it's kind of everything in one. And so I was talking to the guy who was their corporate chef, telling me about the different things. He making jerky and he makes smoked cheeses and he makes all kinds of things like that. And so he smokes his herbs. He dehydrates his parsley and cilantro for making. He does everything in house himself.
Wow.
But I don't know if I want to get to that level. But since we're attached to this farm market down here, we've got people coming in shopping for grocery things and whatever. So if we can do our own smoked cheeses, jerky, things like that we can offer for sale, both here in the restaurant and then also down there in the market on days that we're closed, that would be another way to expand the brand a little bit.
Have you ever done smoked vinegar or smoked salt?
Smoked salt, not smoked vinegar.
Yeah, there's a chef in Nashville. He's got a farm to table restaurant, and he smokes a lot of stuff in his restaurant.
Yeah.
It's not a barbecue restaurant, but he likes using a smoker. He's done smoked vinegar, so a lot of
Mm.
cool things that you can probably make out of that.
This guy was telling me he makes smoked soy sauce.
Ooh,
Yeah.
talk about
And he
umami.
makes smoked butter, cold smoked butter. I don't know if you've ever
No,
smoked butter. Um, I've done it in my smoker here, and essentially melts the butter. It gets all the solids out, and it turns into a smoked. It's really more like ghee. It's clarified butter.
yeah,
Great for cooking. Not so much for eating. You don't want to spread it on a bread. It doesn't have that same kind of buttery richness.
right.
But if you cold smoke butter, it's like cold smoking cheese. You keep that same richness and creaminess, but you get some smoke flavor into it as well. So
Oh,
yeah,
a lot of cool things to learn.
yeah, for
Well,
sure.
any final thoughts you want to give the listeners, tips, advice before we
Uh,
close out?
be kind to your customers. For me, I tell our staff when people come to either a catering event or to the restaurant, they're choosing barbecue because it's either a celebration or it's just a little more relaxed kind of family get together. Um, our restaurant is not a place where people go out of necessity, like, oh, I'm out, I got to grab something hungry. Let me go grab a slab of ribs. They're not doing that. They're doing it because it's an event, it's an occasion. And so I want our staff to treat our customers the same. You're just like they're coming to your house, they're coming for an event. It's the same thing here. So, that's kind of the atmosphere and the ambiance that we try to create, smile and talk to our customers. We thank them for coming. We ask them where they're from. Uh, and it makes a difference. I think that's part of that 4.9. If you read through those, people are like, oh, their staff is so friendly. That's by design. We hire friendly people and we treat people with kindness and respect. And I think it helps people keep coming back. So,
I think in
in
today's
addition to having good,
sorry, what was that last part?
I said, in addition to having good food,
Yeah, of course. But
that's the foundation. But
yeah, I think today's day and age, you get so much mediocre service that if you get great service, you definitely makes an impact
yeah,
and you want to go back. Well, Dan, I appreciate your time today and
yeah, thanks for having
and
me.
all the
This has been
things.
great.
Awesome. And I'm going to take us out.
All right. Thanks, Michael.
You've been listening to Barbecue Catering Smarts, where we bring you the best ideas, stories, and strategies from across the barbecue catering industry. We hope today's episode sparked new insights to help you refine your systems, elevate your customer experience, and grow your catering profits. For more episodes and insights, be sure to subscribe, share, and join us next time.